In this video, I'll give you my top sleepers and busts in 2024 fantasy redraft leagues. I'm Jim Coventry of RotoWire. First sleeper, Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals. Wilson was really impressive as a rookie. 565 yards, 3 touchdowns, 13 games played. We also have to put into perspective, Wilson started out really well while playing with backup quarterbacks. You had Joshua Dobbs, you had Clayton Tune. Michael Wilson had at least 56 yards in 5 of those first 8 games with that quarterback play. Now, injuries set in for Wilson. After week 8, he played 1 game from weeks 9 through 14. And then with Kyler Murray on the field, Wilson comes back, posts no stats in the first 2 games. To me, it appears that Wilson was not quite healthy because in the last 2 games, we saw the return of what we saw early in the season. Wilson averaged 5 catches and 65 yards in those last 2 games, again with Kyler Murray. So that duo's back. Now, better news. The Cardinals draft Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round of the NFL draft. That's good news for Wilson because Harrison will be drawing a lot of coverage as that X receiver. We've seen Michael Wilson thrive as a big perimeter receiver. And Kyler Murray is one of those quarterbacks that does very well with perimeter help because Kyler Murray's very good at breaking contain. Now, remember, Kyler Murray was back from an ACL last year, didn't come back till week 10. So Kyler Murray is going to be even better this year, and that mobility should be all the way back. And remember, that Arizona defense does not project to be good. So we're going to see the Cardinals having to score a lot of points. So wheels up on Michael Wilson. Next sleeper, Wan'Dale Robinson of the New York Giants. Now remember, Wan'Dale Robinson suffered an ACL injury in 2022, and he came back last year. That said, in my mind and what I saw on film and we saw on the stat sheet, Robinson wasn't healthy until after the week 13 bye. In the first 10 games, I pointed out that Wan'Dale Robinson only surpassed 40 yards 1 time. It was terrible. Then they come out of that week 13 bye. Robinson posts at least 55 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. That was the player we were hoping to see. Now, on the season, we saw Wan'Dale Robinson post a 68th percentile yards after the catch rate, but that includes the entire season when it was clear he was not himself. Now, Wan'Dale Robinson saw 66% of his targets from the slot. So again, with zone defenses, he's a very natural fit. Malik Neighbors was drafted. Malik Neighbors is going to see a lot of attention from defenses. Daniel Jones isn't necessarily that quarterback that's going to drive the ball into tight windows. But those routes in the slot that Wan'Dale Robinson runs, yes, give us those all day long. And the Giants, they did make some attempts to improve their defense. Overall, this is not a good defense. So look for the Giants to have to pass often. Wan'Dale Robinson will be that quick outlet. Remember, the offensive line in New York is not good at all. So those long developing plays are probably not even on the table for Daniel Jones, but the slot ones are. And we learned when Robinson was a rookie, he can get open extremely fast, and that is going to make him a great value super late in drafts. If you enjoy videos like this, please consider hitting the like button and subscribe to the Fantasy Football channel on RotoWire YouTube. Also, you can check out all of our fantasy football content and rankings and get a free 2-day trial. No credit card needed. You just head on over to rotowire.com/Jim and you can check out all of our content. My first bust is Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, McBride was great last year, 825 yards, 3 touchdowns. And even with those great numbers, McBride hardly played in the first 5 weeks. Zach Ertz was somehow the lead tight end. And so in those 5 games, McBride had a total of 69 yards. So really, McBride did it from week 6 on and posted most of those numbers. Now, he was averaging 8 targets per game from week 6 on. Now, that would extrapolate to 136 in a full season, but we're not going to see that this year. Now, remember, McBride was very good between week 7 and 15, at least 60 yards 5 times in that span. But if we take the end of the season, and what happened was McBride was on a down note. He did have 31 or more yards in those last 3 games, but he didn't pass 48 in any of those. The thing was, Michael Wilson missed a lot of time. Marquise Brown missed a lot of time. So a lot of the time when McBride was on the field, he was the de facto #1 receiver on the team. Well, now Marvin Harrison Jr. comes in. He's going to be the clear target hog in that offense. Michael Wilson, as we pointed out earlier in this video, very good perimeter receiver. McBride is an excellent tight end. But instead of being the number one option in the offense, he may be tied for number two, maybe flip between Wilson and McBride. So it's not going to be this heavy volume. And yeah, the Cardinals are going to have to pass. But again, McBride is not going to be a situation to see that heavy target volume. The next bust. I know we love this guy, but Achane of the Miami Dolphins. We have to look at three different sets of numbers for Achane. The first set of numbers, weeks 2, 3, and 4, when he exploded onto the fantasy football scene. In those 3 games combined, he had 101 PPR points. He had 12.6 yards per carry. So Achane was getting it done. Also, Achane was a great receiver in those 3 games. 8 catches for 63 yards, and he had 7 total touchdowns in those games. So it was just enormous production. And then Achane had an injury. He missed 5 of 6 games between week 6 and 12. It happens. Running back position. I don't think we necessarily blame the injury on Achane's size. 188 pounds, 5'9". That's not necessarily the problem. But what happened was, we look at the end of season numbers for Achane, and we saw he rushed for over 7 yards per carry. And we are really excited about that. How do you not draft a 7-yard per carry running back? But here's the last number I want you to remember. In the last 7 games that Achane played, including the one NFL playoff game, 70 rushes, 348 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, that yards per carry, 4.97. Still good. That's about what Raheem Mostert gets in that offense. And that said, Achane is in a timeshare. Mostert's still there. They draft Jalen Wright. They still have a number of running backs on the depth chart. The 188-pound back is not going to be featured. We've already seen it. Mike McDaniel, the coach, has limited the work of Raheem Mostert and gotten a lot out of him, especially with Achane's injury last year. We're going to see that continue. And which running back are we getting? Are we getting that 12.6 yards per carry from early in the season? Or are we like taking that wonderful 7 number for the whole year? Or are we saying, you know what? The 4.97 was after the Dolphins offense largely got figured out. Maybe that's more of what he is. It's probably somewhere in the middle. But all that said, if you're drafting Achane, you're drafting him as a running back 1 in 12-team leagues. And for that, it's too many questions. So as good as Achane may be in some games, to spend that premium draft pick on him, to me, just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.